So in this video, I wanted to share my top 4 investments right now currently in this Pokemon market. This is based on the price point of each product and where I see it going. Now I was going to make a top 5, but honestly, I couldn't pick a fifth set slash product to really put into a top 5 list. That fifth thing would kind of be like an okay one. There may be some things you could squeeze in here, like I'll list some honorable mentions. I would put maybe Brilliant Stars in here, maybe Chilling Rain from Scarlet and Violet, maybe, I don't know, maybe Paradox Rift, but it's really hard. So these, in my opinion, are the clear ones. It's like a top 4, and these to me are the clear top 4 investments right now in this market based on the price point of each of these products. So I'll be sharing the prices of each product, the set value, and the top chase card in a PSA 10. So let's first start here. Lost Origin. Now, these are not in any particular order. These are not going in from best investment to, I guess not worst, but like the fourth one. These are just top 4, just generally. So you only have one Sword and Shield product here. It's Lost Origin. Like I said, I named some honorable mentions: Brilliant Stars, Chilling Rain, maybe even Silver Tempest. But Lost Origin to me is the clear one. This has gone down all the way from $900 to now mid 700s. You're getting a $150 discount from Lost Origin booster boxes. I truly think when the Sword and Shield booster box market picks back up, this is easily going to be over $1,000 booster box, and buying it in the mid 7s to me is so obvious. It's like obviously many of you have maybe already invested in a Lost Origin when it was cheaper, so maybe it doesn't apply to you, but for the new people out there, Sword and Shield, out of all the booster boxes, this is the most obvious one. It's only a couple $100 more than Chilling Rain, than Brilliant Stars, and you're getting a much I guess more sought after chase card in the era of the Giratina. That's the big thing. That's the big hitter in Lost Origin. One of the most iconic cards in Sword and Shield for alternate arts. Lost Origin for mid 7s is such a no-brainer to me. It is definitely, in my opinion, even though it's more expensive, the most value you're getting out of all the other boxes. I feel like this box is pretty cheap, and it's actually kind of crazy. It's gone down from $900 all the way to mid 7s, which is why it's made this top 4 list. So if you look on eBay, you can actually find some boxes here for a little bit less, but they do have like some small tears. Like this one had a small tear, but you're getting it for mid 6s. But other than that, they're about just mid 7s here. So if you go on eBay, you can find a nice clean box, probably worth picking up in my opinion. So that is one of the top 4 picks here for my list. Now, looking at Lost Origin, now at this point, this is where card values, they still somewhat matter, but it's mainly just the set popularity and chase, which is the Giratina, but the Giratina is a very expensive chase. Right now it's at $630. Total set value is $1,500, which is honestly pretty expensive for Sword and Shield, because this card is so expensive. It does also have some other great chases in the set. It's not really only the Giratina, which is the main one. There's also the Aerodactyl. It's a pretty nice chase that a lot of people like, and it has 2 Pikachus, as a Gengar, has a Pikachu. I know these trainer galleries aren't as crazy because yellow border or whatever, but there's some other secondary chases here which are which helps the set out. It's not just one card, there's a multiple here that are pretty sought after. So Lost Origin, in my opinion, is just the booster box is just one of the most value picks right now in Sword and Shield. Now looking at the PSA 10 price, it's going for about $2,300, so a pretty expensive PSA 10, about 4 times more expensive than the raw card, so pretty expensive. Next here, Surging Sparks. So I made a video not too long ago talking about how Surging Sparks booster boxes was a pretty undervalued product, and I'm pretty sure when I made that video, these were probably around $300. Now more than ever, at $270. This is up there for being a very good investment right now. Surging Sparks is basically about a year old at this point. It's already gotten a booster box reprint, and I can't see there being a huge Surging Sparks booster box reprint, to be honest. And just in Scarlet and Violet, we haven't seen any huge reprints of booster boxes. And the fact it's already got a reprint already, a while ago, I just don't see this going down a ton. And right now at this current market, guys, you got to understand, Scarlet and Violet base is $240. Journey Together is $270. So you are basically buying Surging Sparks as a set, the booster box, for the same price as Journey Together. And Surging Sparks is almost a year old, where Journey Together is maybe 6 months old. And Journey Together obviously has way less chase cards. The value isn't nearly as high. Surging Sparks is one of the most, in my opinion, obvious buys right now. Nobody's really talking about it. I made a separate video, but it makes it here in the top 4 list. It's one of the most obvious things in Scarlet and Violet to me right now to purchase because of its price point. $270 is very cheap for Surging Sparks, even though Surging Sparks, yeah, the hype isn't what it used to be in the beginning when Surging Sparks was released, but still Surging Sparks is generally a popular set still, and the Pikachu is still somewhat I guess talked about, and it definitely is going to be one of the more iconic SARs in this era. So at 270, this is one of the most obvious things in my opinion. Especially if you go to eBay, you can actually find these for around $260, which makes it even more of an obvious buy in my opinion. Now, Surging Sparks, the total set value is about $1,300. Top chase card Pikachu here is at $350. It's not only a Pikachu set. There's some other chases here. The Latias, Milotic, these are still very sought after SAR chases in Scarlet and Violet. The Pikachu Gold is $75. Some other chases down here, but it's mainly these top 3. But these are all very popular chases in Scarlet and Violet. And at 270, I don't think you can really beat Surging Sparks, and I think it really deserves being in the top 4 list here. Now, the PSA 10 card is not, as expensive as some other PSA 10s, but it's still pretty expensive. I mean, considering the raw card's $350, the PSA 10's going for around $1,300. That's about like 4 times the amount, so it's still pretty expensive. I mean, $1,000+ PSA 10 is still, no joke. But it's not like it's $2,000-$3,000, but still pretty expensive. And I think over time, at one point the raw card was going for $500, $500 to $600. I think over time this may go up, but right now it's at $1,200 to $1,300, so still pretty expensive. Now next here, Paldea Evolved. So Paldea Evolved, here, it is a more expensive box, 100%, but for a reason. Paldea Evolved at this point is pretty old. It is going to go out of rotation early next year. Right now, Paldea Evolved has seen a slight dip from all the way from almost 500, about 480 to now mid 4s. So you're not getting that much of a discount as of recent, but still buying it. Even when it was at this price point, I still thought it was still a fine buy. Paldea Evolved, is one of the sets that I think are going to perform extremely well and be an outlier. It's already showing signs of that because of the Magikarp, and buying Paldea Evolved with the age it has, and it's been it's a little bit of an older set in Scarlet and Violet. I think this is, for the price point, still a pretty good buy, because the risk of a reprint is basically 0 to none at this point. It's already gotten multiple booster box reprints, and it going out of rotation early next year. I don't think there's going to really be any major reprints here for this box, so I think Paldea Evolved at this price point is a pretty good buy. Now, if you go on eBay, you're not really going to find it much cheaper. You're going to find them in the mid 4s, just like TCG Player. Now, if you go and check the total set value, it's at $1,400, which is pretty expensive for Scarlet and Violet main sets. You can see at the top chase, the Magikarp is now almost $400, so that's pretty crazy here. But there's a reason for that, which you'll see for the PSA 10. The Tyranitar is $80, and some other ones here are like $60, $50. But yeah, Paldea Evolved, you're basically, the big chase here is the Magikarp. And the Magikarp, like I said, there's good reason. It's a $2,000+ PSA 10 chase. People are obviously trying to grade these cards, get them into 10 because the payoff is crazy. A $2,000+ PSA 10. I mean, the raw card was about like what, $400. So the Magikarp is one of the most iconic IRs. It's just an IR, which is crazy to think about. Like, it's just an IR, and it's this expensive, but it's that iconic. It's really hard to get a 10, so that's why people are paying up for this card, because it just is that hard to get in a 10. So I really think Paldea Evolved, being how old it is and having one of the most iconic IRs and just chases in general in Scarlet and Violet at mid 4s is not that bad. So lastly here, I mean, this is the most obvious one. If I obviously, if I could have no bias here, which I do, but I would probably just put this at number 1. I think Prismatic Evolutions ETBs. It was so obvious when it was in the mid 90s to low, like very low hundreds, but even now, it's, in my opinion, I mean, it's like, I don't care what anyone says at this point. To me, it's one of the most obvious buys. I'll keep saying it until this ETB becomes maybe 200+, but in the low hundreds, it's still, to me, the most obvious. I'm still buying them, guys. I look at this set as in a perspective of looking at a lens of the value in this set, right? I know there's a lot of talks about always all the big reprints and all this stuff about Prismatic and the negativity towards the set because a lot of people just don't like the set for whatever reason because the pull rates are hard or whatever. The value in this set, I'm not going to go through this whole thing. I made so many videos talking about this, but just the value inside of this set is crazy. In me looking at this in the low hundred set, even 135, 140, whatever, like plus or minus $10, whatever you have to pay, to me in the long run is still so cheap. And I just had to throw this up here. It's like, for me, I'm looking at the perspective, looking at other sets and how they performed, and looking at how much more valuable this set is. It's an evolution set. It's my, like, it has to be my top pick. I'm not, I said there's no really order here, but Prismatic, if I had to put it, it's like my number one pick here. It's the most obvious one in my opinion. I'll continue to say it, even if it's gone up, in the past month or so. It's still an obvious buy. On eBay, you're not really getting much of a discount. You're paying basically market. But here's the set value, guys. You have to understand something here. It's at $5,000, and this is not even the top. At one point, it was $8,000, and it's obviously started to go up. It's gone out almost $1,000 in the past few months since it's been continuously going down for like now maybe almost 6 months because of all the reprints we've been getting. But obviously the reprints have sort of stopped now. But yeah, this is not even the top of where the set value was, and it's $5,000. You show me any other Scarlet and Violet set that's near $5,000. There's really nothing there. I think Destined Rivals might be up there, maybe Black Bull White Flare, but nowhere near $5,000. They're all about like $3,000. I guess Mega Evolution, that's a different era, is like $4,000, but it's a brand new set. But Prismatic Evolutions, after all the reprints it's gotten, and it's now at $5,000. I mean, this set having over 30 SARs, I mean, it's the most obvious thing. I mean, I don't got to keep talking about it. You guys understand. But yeah, Prismatic Evolutions, the value is insane. And also considering the top chase card now raw is $1,200, and in a PSA 10, it's over $4,000. How can we really think that $135 for an ETB is expensive? That's the thing I'll never understand. I'll keep saying it until the end of time. This is the most obvious thing ever, in my opinion. The PSA 10 rates, I mean, I've made so many videos. I mean, I'm not going to go on a tangent here, but definitely, if you watched all the way to the end of the video, you probably knew it was coming. My top pick. So that's all I want to say in this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if there's anything here you would change, anything you would add. Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.